Premiering in 2015, Marvel's TV show Daredevil provided a new, unique main hero, one unlike any other. He's blind. Set in present-day Hell's Kitchen in New York City, the show is directed towards Marvel fans who are interested in seeing a new character, one with strengths and a lifestyle that had rarely been shown before. In the show, we're introduced to Matt Murdock, a lawyer by day and a crime-fighting vigilante by night. Although he's blind, Matt is still very proficient in combat. When he was 9 years old, he was blinded by a chemical spill. All of his other senses were heightened exponentially as a result. He can track people just by hearing their heartbeats, he can hear even the faintest echoes off of objects, and he also has an extremely acute sense of smell. The show begins with Murdock and his best friend Foggy Nelson opening their very own law firm, Nelson and Murdock.
Nelson and Murdock.
Throughout the show, Murdock uses almost superhuman senses in ways that essentially make him able to see everything that's happening around him, but without actually using his eyes. He tracks weapons based off the sounds they make while they move through the air, shown when he was fighting his friend Karen's attacker. He can even find enemies just by hearing their heartbeat. So through this, Matt shows that even though he isn't able to see with his eyes, he can still create a vivid picture of all of his surroundings by using his other senses. These senses help him as a fighter, but they're also very beneficial to him as a lawyer as well. So in his courtroom, he can hear heartbeats to determine if someone's nervous, lying, or both, and they can also help guide the questions he asks. And also, Matt can use his strengths to help people outside of combat and the courtroom, like when he helped give medical care to his friend Claire. Even though he couldn't see, he was able to diagnose her injuries.
The swelling's down. A rib fracture's only a hairline. I couldn't tell before.
You have x-ray fingers now?
I can hear your bones shift when you breathe. No grinding means nothing's broken.
Throughout the show, there are many people that treat Matt well and want to help him succeed in any way he can. One of these people is his best friend, Foggy. So Foggy treats Matt very well throughout the show, almost as like he's just another normal guy. He helps guide Matt when they're walking down the street together, tells him what people look like what they're wearing, if they make any facial expressions, and he even reads printed text to Matt if he needs it. So this mindset's shown from the very first time the two met in college.
Load. Load! What?
Excuse me, is this room 312?
Yeah, who you looking for? Oh, sorry.
What for?
You're blind, right?
Yeah, so they tell me. I hope that won't be a problem.
Why would it? Oh! You're my roomie!
Matt Murdock.
Foggy Nelson.
Along with Foggy, there's another person that helps Matt out a ton with his day-to-day life. That's his mentor, Stick. So shortly after Matt was blinded when he was 9 years old, he was introduced to Stick. Stick quickly became a mentor for Matt, telling him what it was like to live as a blind person. He told Matt that he shouldn't feel bad about himself for being blind. In fact, he should actually feel lucky for what happened to him.
I hear things.
What kind of things?
Everything. Coughs and fights. Cats meowing. Sometimes walks away. Sense things. I know where things are and when they move. But I can't see.
You know what they call stuff like that? Gifts. The special kind. The kind that very few people have. Or deserve.
I never thought of it that way.
I think that this show accurately portrayed the day-to-day life of someone who was blind like Matt. However, there were some parts that were not completely accurate. So, to start, Matt used many tools that are very helpful to blind people in the real world, like having his phone read out texts and caller ID to him so he'd know who's calling him, who wants to get a hold of him, and he reads in Braille, and his computer even has a Braille display on it that connects to a headset that reads a screen to him. So these tools that he uses are great to see represented, but not everything is as accurate as that. So he's able to use echolocation to determine where objects and people are because of his extremely advanced hearing skills, but blind people have not been proven to have any extra hearing capabilities compared to people who can see. According to research by the University of Western Ontario, blind individuals they studied scored the same on conventional hearing tests as sighted individuals. But however, MRIs showed that the visual cortices of the blind subjects became very active when they were exposed to echoes, which is where the aspect of echolocation in Daredevil likely comes from. So Matt can also locate things due to his amazing sense of smell, like when he's able to locate where an enemy was, when he was on the completely different floor of a building for him, because he could tell that his cologne he was wearing was very strong. However, much like the sense of hearing, blind people have also not been proven to have a better sense of smell either. So in an olfactory sensitivity test conducted by German ophthalmologists, blind subjects showed no measurable difference from their sighted counterparts. So while Matt can compensate for his blindness with his other senses since they're so strong, real blind people cannot. So since Matt and Stick, the two main featured blind people in the show, they both have these abilities, so it might lead people to believe that this notion of blind people having these improved senses is true. And also, Matt uses the walking stick a lot to guide him, but whenever he takes on his identity of Daredevil and gets ready to go fight someone or something like that, he gets rid of it. It's almost as if his blindness is something he kind of like tossed to the side a little bit, which, you know, in real life, blindness isn't something that anyone can really get rid of. Like, these people have to live with it. They can't just toss it to the side when they want to go do something else. So as I said before, Matt gets a lot of help from the people in his life that want to help him. Foggy's always been there for him since they first met. He genuinely thought of Matt as just another guy instead of someone with a disability, which helped Matt out a ton, since all he wanted was for someone to just see him in that way and treat him like they would anyone else. So I really think Foggy can help show viewers that since he's always treated Matt like he'd treat anyone else, they can do the same to anyone with any disability.
Most people dance around me like I'm made of glass. I hate that.
Yeah, you're just a guy, right?
Also, Stick was another person who helped shape Matt's experience of living with his disability. Since Stick's also blind, he had unique experiences that he could share with Matt. He was his mentor and the first person to show him that living with his disability was actually not a burden, but it was a gift that he had. Stick showed him some of the things he could achieve even with his lack of vision and motivated Matt to become something great, and he also just gave Matt a reality of what it's like what people will think of him once he has a disability, and he has to overcome that.
First thing you gotta understand is nobody feels sorry for you and nobody ever will. Because when it comes to being born lucky, you won the friggin' lottery.
Pop culture can be such a powerful tool to use for learning and shaping understanding of big ideas. It can reach so many people and can spread a message instantly and can even cause cultural shifts. Using pop culture to influence an inclusive learning environment is a great idea since it can expose students to messages and ways of thinking that they may have never even previously thought of. So while this particular show exaggerates the strengths that a blind person may have, since superheroes, over-exaggerated superpowers and everything, nevertheless it provides a strong representation of a person with a disability. So Matt Murdock, even though he is blind, was able to graduate from law school, which isn't an easy feat by any means, and it's one that even people with full vision cannot do. He has people in his life like Foggy that recognize his strengths and allow him to showcase them as often as possible. And through this creation of this project, I've learned that people who are blind and people with any disability even all have their own unique experiences and strengths. So while future students that I may have won't have any superhuman strengths like Matt Murdock, for example, they still have their own abilities that are very important, and I think it is so important to find them and use them in a way that leads to their success.